Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 4th, 2022 at approximately 10:45 a.m. PST. Well, time to get back to work, I suspect. Yes, my desk is occupied. Of course, that's because I've been working on it all day. Well, most of the day, anyway. Anyway, as I said, I came back to this world for one primary reason. And that is to pass on a simple message to everybody in existence. Okay, and it's a real simple one. Working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Now, that's the big job. Okay, for those of you that have not joined me before, back in, realistically, in probably August of 2020, I had a very, very definitive revelation of why I came back here. It came accompanied with peace of mind. I knew exactly what I was doing, why I was doing it, and where I was heading with it. But due to the fact I've been reclusive for a very long time, it took me, with the encouragement of many people on Spaced Out Radio, the station that I am on once a month, talking about aliens, alien technologies, the racial cultures, different cultures of different species on different worlds. The encouragement of those people, because I'm on that show every Friday, the first Friday of every month, which, by the way, means tonight, where I answer questions directly from the chat rooms. And I don't ask me all the chat rooms. Sorry, that's Dave's department, the host. But I know where that Spaced Out Radio is on some terrestrial stations, as in some normal radio stations. But the chat rooms I know he's got one in Twitter, in Facebook, on YouTube. Okay, check him out at spacedoutradio.com. I am R. Keith Andrews of the ET Connection. That said, the message I came back, when I talk about passing this message on to everyone in existence, this includes every species. And rest assured, mankind is not the only species on this planet. Okay, yes, it is the dominant corporeal form, technologically advanced, and mankind is the caretaker of this planet. Okay, now I've made my share of mistakes. I'm not by any means perfect. Some people have referred to me as an expert. I refer to myself as a specialist in it. But much more importantly, I am a spiritual guide. Okay, and that means the tools that I offer people, if they apply to my life, I'm using them. The philosophies of life I live by are the same ones I talk about. So if you like our video, absolutely give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of it, because this message has to get to everybody. In case you hadn't noticed the state of the world, it's a bit of a wreck. Okay, now I cannot blame just the people in existence today, because the people that are in leadership positions right now were taught by the people before them, same as you were taught by your parents to behave in the way that you do. Now, you are responsible for your own actions. Okay, everybody does have free will. You've got your freedom of choice to do things your own way, to do what you desire. But it is absolutely imperative that you follow karmic law. Okay, even God himself follows karmic law. Okay, now I did question him at one point. Did he set it up? And he told me flat out, and this one will wrap some people's brains into a nightmare. But even God himself said he didn't develop the karmic laws. There was somebody before him. And I know that's a hard one to wrap your brain around. Okay, but since I cannot prove it, you're going to have to go with what you believe. And even if you take it and say God created karmic law being, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, those three laws are equally important, kind of like the three legs on a three-legged stool. Okay, every one of them is as important as the other. If you do not stick to all three, then the whole system falls apart. But much as you've got free will and freedom of choice to do things your way, you do not have freedom from the consequences of your actions. That doesn't work all that well. Okay, so where all of this change starts is right here. Okay, you take a look in the mirror and ask yourself one simple question. Am I content with the way my life is going? Am I content with the way I am treating people? You must take responsibility for your own actions, because your actions are what actually make things happen. Okay, thought process, the way change goes on, takes place, is thought starting, you start off with the idea up here in the etheric plane, in amongst the soul. That gets translated into the physical body, but the anchor point, contrary to what many of you have been taught, the anchor point is right here in your heart. When that connection is made, when you get that imperative drive in your heart to what feels right, okay, then you figure it, then it goes up to the brain, and the brain figures out how to make it happen. With that in place, you can now make the physical actions. Now, for those of you that figure that you're thinking your way through things, okay, if it comes from the spiritual plane and lands in the head first, you'll figure out how to make it happen, but the drive to make it happen is going to be missing in all likelihood until it gets to your heart. Now, you may not see this. This may happen on a subconscious level, but the reality behind it all is you are the only one that can be successful for you. Okay, now I've talked about, when I've been doing these videos, I've talked about past lives, reincarnation, soulmates, these different sorts of things. So this is the major message that is here that I've come back to pass on. Any way I can do it. Now the video, thanks to the people on Spaced Out Radio, these videos have been going on almost daily since March 6th of 2021, which, come to think of it, is in 2 days. Okay. And if you go back over the videos, I've covered a number of different things. You can even look up a subset of videos called, because this series is called The Journey, but I've got a subset called Language, in which I identify certain words that in any language are self-deprivating. They will hold you back. And I've seen this happen for years. Now, I've been working this lifetime for 48 years now in this field. I'm only 58, so yeah, I started a little early. Okay, but I've been asked questions on emotional issues, on personal relationships, on business, on alien technologies, alien races, alien purposes, cultures. You name the topic. I was dealing with one gentleman years ago because he was having trouble with a farm. So, not knowing much about farming aside from you have to put seeds in the ground for them to grow and then give them proper water and nutrients. But that's pretty much where my knowledge ended. Instead, what I found when I was looking into his business, the problem he was having was with a conveyor belt. Okay, I had no idea because at the time I didn't even know what his farm was. You know, what the product was. And so I literally asked him, I says, why, pray tell, would you have a conveyor belt in your barn? Turned out it was a hayloft, and the conveyor belt was to move the bales up into the loft, because he ran a cattle farm, a dairy farm. Okay, now, with all of this in mind, you start off, because the backbone of the home is the kitchen, the dining room, living room. You know, the kitchen really is the backbone, but the dining room and living room is where most of the socializing takes place. So that's got to be in order. Then we have the backbone of the house, and that's your finances. Now, when your finances are tight, as many of you are, and Lord knows I am, when your finances are tight, you're taught from the get-go that if you're having trouble making ends meet, you're taught, cut back, deprive yourself of whatever. It's kind of like dieting. If you desire to lose weight, cut back on the amount you're eating, which in essence does work, but you lose out on a lot of the enjoyment thing. So where it comes to your finances, when we talk about cutting back, that's a great idea. It'll cut back, you cut back on the spending, you'll have more money left over. But there is a secondary philosophy, and the one I personally live by, is you don't cut back. Watch what you're doing, don't overextend, but find a way to make a better income. And finding that way is what brought about these books. Okay, this is only one of two in this novel series, but one of 6 books I've got in print. Okay, this started out, and I'm going to do a video later on exactly how this is working, but the one drawback with this, okay, is I have no problem with the writing side of things. That works easy. What I do have a problem with is marketing, and this is something I'm teaching myself. Okay, and honestly, any input somebody can give me on ideas as to how to go about getting it more visibility and what have you, bearing in mind I'm on a very limited budget. Okay, the sad reality of it is there's a lot of people out there that claim to be professionals. Okay, and I've dealt with a few of them where they said, I know exactly how to do marketing, and here's what it's going to cost. Well, the sad part of it is I paid for it and got nothing out of it. I've run into this with multiple people in various different professions where they claim to know what they're doing, and I don't see results. Net result is I'm talking to people like yourselves on ways to market, on ways to get visibility, where people are going to be most likely to see the books. Okay, now, like I said, at the bottom of this video, there's a list of all the books that I've got, plus some of the ones I'm working on. Okay, everyone that's listed that I've got is already in print in my possession. Now, the Yldrbacian Chronicles are the only 2 books right now that are available on authorhouse.com, on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble. You know, they can be purchased directly through there. Through me, it's a hard copy. On those ones, you can also get an ebook. Okay. No, I haven't got the auditory ones yet, but that's going to cost me a small fortune. However, as I said yesterday, I've now sent off the information to an Italian publishing company that is looking at translating my books, especially the Yldrbacian Chronicles. They approached me for book 2. Okay, for the Yldrbac, the latter years, the end of an epoch. This is the book that just came out the beginning of this year. I will be talking to them, I hope, about the birth of the wolf pack as well. But I have started to post more information on the books, and what I don't know, like I said, what I'm striving to figure out is what's the best way of doing it. Okay, Lord knows if I go through Facebook, there is a way of boosting it using a credit card, which I am going to be doing. I just have to wait for my credit card bill to clear. So I've got actually room to work with. Which is not entirely a bad idea, come to think of it. I should have money on there. I can probably do that today. Because I'll be doing more posting, what have you. Anyway. The reality of it is, I'm looking at the issue as something that does help is, quite frankly, testimonials. For those of you that have already purchased the book or been gifted the book, testimonials will help immensely in spreading word and striving to get this out. Now, the reality is this. In this first trilogy, I'm covering a lot of stuff, but when you get through the other books in the trilogy, like the end of an epoch, not the end of an epoch, the one coming up, the Return to Paradise, does touch on some of this information But when you get back into the next one, which I'm aiming at for next year, it starts getting into soulmates, more in depth into soulmates, twin flames. Okay, we're also already in the first three. We're already introducing some of the other races. Okay, some of the other races, and the neat part about it is it worked out kind of accidentally. But I'll go into that on the other video I'm going to be doing. The issue for me for marketing is how and where is the best way to get visibility, because much as I realize that that being an author is not a surefire way of making money. Okay, but like I said, when you've got a limited income, find another way to generate a higher income. Don't just look at cutback. Cutback temporarily, absolutely. When the vaccine passport came out, quite seriously, in the 3 or 4 months that it's been out, it has saved me more than $1,200 in restaurant bills, which gives you an idea how much I like cooking. Okay, but it helped me cut back immensely on that. Okay, now that I figured out that side of it, now it's time to increase my cash flow. Now, I've got a stable job. I've got no interest in leaving it right now. Okay, because frankly, it's keeping a roof over my head. So why leave? But I am now striving to find new ways to increase my cash flow. That way, I will have a surplus to work with. And the nice part about it is for me, money has never been the driving factor. But I do like a roof over my head. Same as I suspect you like a roof over your head. But you find a way to do it, to increase the cash flow. The other critical factor is people talk about getting a budget together, to making a budget work. Well, the sad reality of a budget is it doesn't work as well as you might think. Budgets work fantastic if you happen to have a stable income, as in you make X number of dollars per month. Okay, if you make X dollar of numbers, like with a contract, for instance, I have one contract that I have that I'm going to use it as an example. It brings me in an absolute number in this amount every month. Now, that particular contract, I can look at it and go, this is how much money comes in, so I can break it up and put it in different places. Every month I can do the same thing. That's what a budget does. But when you don't have a rock solid steady income, where you're on wage, or you're on piecework, okay, it varies day to day, and especially if you're working in the hospitality industry and you've also got tips coming in, you cannot gauge and say, I will get X number of dollars every week for tips. Okay, so you look at what comes in, and there are very simple ways to track it. Okay, I actually I've got a booklet here that I wrote, okay, that I will be eventually putting into print. I've just got to find the soft copy, go through it, make sure I make adjustments as necessary, and carry on. Once that happens, I will put that booklet out. Okay, but I put one together that explains how to make money itself, how to track money in a basic fashion. If you don't know how, okay, this is what I mean by I have a tendency of putting my different insights, my different knowledge groups into booklets, into books. Now, when I said I've got 6 books already in print, these are not books these are not books that are booklets. These don't include this one, okay? These are ones that are ready to go, okay? I've got 5 or 6 others that are done in booklet form that I've got to go back over, edit them a little, and get them straight. Okay, with that in mind, it's extremely important from my standpoint to get this information out. Now, do I intend on generating a profit from it? Absolutely. And like I've mentioned, I've got these big plans. The Yldrbac Chronicles is a set of 12 books. with a number of additions to it. I'm also looking at building a healing center, one that literally works on healing the body, the mind, and the soul. Okay. Because all of it is interlinked. Now, of course, in order to do this, you have to have a working space that works. Okay, in other words, in your office, wherever you work on your finances. I wonder if I've got it here. I don't know. It would seem... Oh, that might be it there. Yep. See, with my business, I've got this sheet that I keep handy. I don't know if you can read it, but what it reads is... Yeah, this is my business one. Okay, Inner Voice Enterprises has legally generated a minimum of $600 by March 31st of 2022 at 1 minute to midnight. That's because of my business. Now, including that 600, I've got a second one that I keep in my office here, right? Referring to my household, we have legally attained a minimum of $3,500 by March 31st, 2022 at 1 minute to midnight. Now, I may well have stumbled over that, okay, because like I said, I don't know if you can, these are the two signs again, just in case I read those wrong. There's the one, okay, if you can read that. If you can't, I cannot do much about it. If I read it incorrectly, that long number at the bottom is month, day, year, a gap, and then the military time. That's the one. Okay, and this one is for the household. Okay, if I read them wrong, that's what they actually say. Now I keep those in my office, ready to work with. I also have up on this wall here, I've got a sign that I've hand burned that says, "I am worth it." Those same 4 words I put on cardstock, laminated, and put on my fridge. So when I talk about tools that I believe in, that I know work because I use them, these are just examples. But you take your office, make sure you get it organized so the energy is running smoothly on it. Okay, we're talking about something that is referred to as Feng Shui. Now, this is an Eastern philosophy. And to build it the way most of the books are written about it is great and works beautifully in the Eastern countries. The problem is that the Eastern countries, the reason it works well is because the culture is built that way. But the principle is still the same. So in your office where you work on your money, have a section where you keep your money, where you keep all of your money. Have a section in the house where it's focused on family. The more focused, the more organized you have your house or your office, the more readily the energy will flow, and the greater your level of prosperity. Now understand, prosperity is a personal thing. I'm in the process right now. One of the books I'm working on is one that literally explains for everybody, regardless of your income, regardless of your profession, who you vote for, doesn't matter. It applies to everybody. But I figured out the formula for success. Now, the short answer is success equals desire plus focused effort. Meaning, once you get this desire, once you get this pull in your heart to accomplish something, and you move it up into the brain and you find a way to do it, okay, now you've got the desire, and then you've got the thought process and the physical work to make it happen, but you're the only one in existence that can be successful for you. Now, you may consider success a well-run household, a small neighborhood grocery store. Maybe you see success as that's what it is. Okay, for me, I consider it success if I manage to keep my desk clear at night. But don't forget, there's another little saying that goes with that. You can accomplish anything in life if you set your sights low enough. Okay, in other words, if you don't make any effort, you will succeed at getting virtually nothing accomplished. And pointing the finger at other people saying it's their fault. I mean, I could look at my parents and go, well, you weren't stringent enough with me to show me how to make money work properly. Okay, and nothing against my parents. Your parents may well have the same problem. But for those of you that have kids now, even if you're in your senior years and you've got children that are struggling, okay, I strongly encourage you to sit down with them, show them your finances, which goes completely against what I was taught growing up. I was taught adults keep the finances to themselves. Don't burden the kids with them. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, if mom and dad had kept me a little bit more informed of the way that the finances actually worked, I wouldn't be going through the mess I'm going through now. And trusting the so-called professionals led me to 2 runs into bankruptcy, both of which were ridiculously stupid. And the only person that got anything out of them was the bankruptcy trustee. What it really boiled down to, in my opinion, was the bankruptcy trustee in both cases took money from the people I actually owed the money to and put it in their own pocket and found a legal loophole where I didn't have to give the money to the other person. Now, I didn't have to pay as much money, granted. But the reality is, I'm the one that spent it. I'm the one that dug the hole. Okay. And finding somebody to really twist the system so that I didn't have to pay as much money, but instead, they got the money instead of the people I owed the money to. To me, this is just blatantly wrong. Okay. And, I've looked at this consistently. I could blame mom and dad, but I'm the one that made the decision. Okay, I could blame the accountants that for the last 40 years have messed up my income tax, or more to the point, not reported it properly. Now, granted, I never paid income tax, but it was still done wrong until a year ago. And now for the last 2 years, this year I know it got done right, and last year I know it got sorted out. So, quite frankly, I can blame other people. We can all look at the state of the world and blame the so-called elites, blame your politicians. But ask yourself this: are you treating the people around you the way you desire to be treated? If you're running a business, are you dealing fairly with the people you're dealing with? Okay, this is something you have to fundamentally look at, or that would be wise to look at. Okay, and these are things that I look at personally, which is why I have figured out how to track word of mouth advertising. Something else I found out, and this is one of the things that really bothered me where it came to this idea of money. Okay, now I have not done what I'm aiming for, but this year I'm going to get it balanced out. Once I figure out all of what the actual costs were. I've already worked out a way. See, that went around in circles. The way I look at it, where it comes to work, okay, you pay, I've got a couple of artists working for me, okay, to do the artwork for my books. And the nice part about it, with those books, with any artist, you pay the artist, okay, for an agreed upon amount. You pay the artist that amount. But then what usually happens is the person that wrote the book, okay, that bought the artwork, turns around, buys the artwork, and then that's the last money the artist ever sees. In my opinion, this is why I'm going through now to figure out, I talked to my accountant and figured out what I have to have sorted around. And the artwork that is being done for this book, for these books, the artwork, the reality is, if an artist doesn't do a good job, it will not catch the buyer's attention. They won't even pick up the book to look in the insides. Okay. I've also got this one that is currently being redone with the added artwork. I'm about 2/3 of the way through getting the artwork done. But here's the thing. Where it comes to the artwork gets dealt with. Okay. And I pay for my artwork, same as you may be paying for yours. Okay, but what I find happens is the art gets paid for, and that's the last thing the artist gets. Okay, and this is not the way I'm working on business myself. That said, I'll go into that more later. For the moment, absolutely, again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you like the videos, and share the daylights out of it. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.